Good morning, Saints. Happy Tuesday. Yes, wake up this morning and it was raining outside, so that's Michigan for you, right? So by this afternoon, it'll be bone dry out here and about 80 degrees. So that's what I love about my state. We get all four seasons, and the weather. You gonna get all the weather, right? So just sit around and wait. Give it about 15 minutes. That's our saying in Michigan, right? So so fellas, Saints, my fellow Saints, right? Uh, I have something that's really I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and so I'm gonna come at this from two different fronts. And I noticed from my YouTube analytics that that the core of my audience are men, which I'm glad for, right? Because I'm all about male empowerment. I'm not a male feminist at all. I love women, but I believe God created man and woman to each have specific purpose and function. A woman should stay in her place and her purpose and function, and the man should stay in his place and his purpose and function. Okay, but the enemy, the dark forces, the rulers of this world, right? Uh, they have a pseudo kingdom, right? They imitate God's kingdom, and so they want to topsy turvy that. It's everything upside down. So they want woman to rule over man instead of man ruling over woman, right? But we Christians, we saints, so we follow the God's ways, not the ways of this world, right? And so when I speak, uh, uh, I am a firm believer that a woman should be a woman and stay in a woman's place. A man should be a man and stay in a man's place. And if we don't operate in that particular purpose and function, then we have disorder in our society, which we see today. And since the fall of man, in fact, for those, you can go read it for yourself when you read Genesis. In the fall of man, one of the curses that God placed upon woman was that she would basically be adversarial towards man, and we see that. You know what I'm saying? And women have this desire to rule. They want to. A woman would be God if if she could. You know what I'm saying? And we all know that, right? That's why it's hard to find a good woman that will submit herself under a man, right? Because they don't want to, especially in this westernized society. And just to say this real quick, that's why we can learn a lot from other cultures, right? Because when you look at, say, like uh, those Islamic countries, basically every other country around the world, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Arabs, all these other cultures, they don't allow their women to do a lot of things. They don't allow them just to wear whatever they want to wear. They don't allow their women just to say whatever they want to say. They don't allow their women to hold key positions in society. And in our westernized mind, we sit back and say, oh, they're just hating. No, it's not that they're hating on women. They've learned and understood that no, we have purpose and function in our gender roles. And if we start allowing each other to go outside of that, it tears down societies. It's been proven throughout history, right? And so when we see all these other cultures and they be stiff arming their women over there, but it's because they don't want to see what we have in our country. These women are out of control, right? And for real. And I want to speak on that, right? Because I've been noticing. It's like I see these videos. I'm gonna just give you a couple of examples, right? I wish I was able to just to pull up the video and show you like I see other people do because it just is better that way, right? But outside of that, I just have to just say it, okay? So, and I'm sure a lot of if you are familiar with what I'm talking about, okay? So so like I just saw one today, or yeah, this morning actually, and the lady was like, "I got 5 kids and I'm a catch." Like, okay, and let me say this, right? Like, I remember when I first started seeing these videos of these women saying all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, well, dang, that's crazy. That's delusional. That's wild, And at first, I was attributing uh, these women's mindset to just male feminists, simps, beta males. Those guys that's out here that's always about uplifting and empowering women and just pay all their bills and then always tell them how pretty they are. That guy. And I felt like, okay, well, it's just the simps of the world. You know, just making these girls overvalue themselves, right? That's been going on since the beginning of the time. Okay, so I thought maybe that was that. All right, then I kept seeing more and more of these videos, and I'm like, man, these girls are delusional for real. And another girl, she was pretty, but that's a dime a dozen, and she's got 3 kids. I don't know how many different fathers, probably 2 or 3 different men by 3 kids, and then she's like, well, to date me, a man's got to make 6 figures and have 3 houses and 6 cars and just listing off all these requirements to date her, to take care of her and her 3 kids by some other guy. And I'm listening to this chick and I'm like, she is for real about what she's saying, right? And I'm like, what man in his right mind who has all these things going for himself will want her? Like, it don't make no sense, but she really believed that there will be a man that will see her video and say, "Oh, I make all that money and I got that house and all them cars. Let me hit her up." Like, she really believes that's gonna happen, right? Okay, that's delusion. And so another one. This one right here, this one kind of sent me over the edge a little bit. So of course it was a black woman, right? She was like, "Listen, ladies, I'm gonna tell you where you're going wrong at. You're not terrorizing these men enough." That's the exact word she used, terrorizing. She's out here telling these women they need to be more loudmouthed, more bad attitude, more demanding, more disrespectful. And that's why they're failing with men, because they're not terrorizing men enough. That's delusion, right? So, okay, so now so coming from a Christian point of view, I say, okay, wait a minute. This is way beyond simps and the beta males and the male feminists making these women believe there's something that they're not. This is bigger than that, right? So I'm gonna come at this topic of conversation with 2 different things. Okay, so now in the Bible, right, it gives us, there's 2 verses I want to highlight right here. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 11. And for this reason God will send upon them a strong delusion that they may believe the lie, that all may be judged who did not believe the truth, but delighted in unrighteousness. Right? Okay, and then the second verse I want to highlight is Romans 1:25. Because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the creature rather than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Okay, so now let's start with 2 Thessalonians 2:11, right? Hold on one second. Samson, go lay down. All right, he gets on my nerves sometimes. My best friend, but he gets irritating. All right, so in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 11, it talks about because it's not just, so in this verse it's not speaking just directly towards women, right? It's speaking towards us as people as a whole. But I also know that the enemy goes through the woman to tear down society. It's been like that since the garden, since Adam and Eve. The serpent and Eve destroyed Adam and caused the fall of man, right? So that same process is being carried out today, right? So it's not just a personal attack on women, right? But because this delusion is, but we see the delusion in women, right? And so the Bible says that it's because they have rejected the truth, right, of the Father, right, that and believed a lie, right, that God sent in judgment a strong delusion. So the delusion that we're seeing that these women are operating in is a judgment from the Lord, right? Okay, now keep that in mind. And then because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the creature rather than the creator, we see that, right? We see how women, they're not serving God, they're worshiping themselves. And see, and that's the male feminists right there. That's simps, that's beta males. That's what they do. They worship women, right? And women want to be worshipped. That was the whole thing with Adam and Eve. You know, Eve wanted to be worshipped. Like Adam was worshiping God and not her. She wanted Adam to worship her, just like these women we see today. A woman wants a man to bend the knee to her, right? And that's what beta males and simps do, right? But strong men of God, I don't bend the knee to nobody but the Lord, right? Okay, so and because they have chose to believe a lie in judgment, God has sent a strong delusion. And we see that today. These women are delusional, fellas. And if you are out here and you are out here and you taking care of these women, fellas, stop. Let's stop. We need to put a pause on that right now. Stop giving these women money. Stop giving them any time. Stop giving them any attention until they get their stuff together, because it's only gonna get worse. This delusion that we see these women operating in, and they operating in it full force. It's at first I used to think at first I thought it was just the male feminists and simps that had these women thinking, overvaluing themselves. Okay, that's been going on forever. That's not gonna stop. You just got them kind of men out here, right? They kind of messed it up, but they're not the majority, right? Okay. So then I begin to think I begin to think these were skits, because I'm like, there's no way women are out here believing this, right? But now I'm saying that no, these women are serious. They really think that they are like that, right? And they're not, and they're expecting men to pay off. Just it's insane to me. It's delusional, right? So that's what's making me have this conversation now, coming from a spiritual, biblical point of view, because that's what we're seeing. It's a judgment of God. He's sending this strong delusion, right? And that spirit of delusion is flowing through the spirit and the mind of these women out here at an all-time high, right? And so I want us to be aware of that. Let's pay attention to that. And fellas, as Christian men of God, we don't do that, right? We don't. If you see a woman operating her delusion, you better run like Joseph, okay? All right, fellas, let's have a blessed and wonderful day today, and let's be light, let's be salt.